Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop BC Smart Meters. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thanks for having me.
Sounds like the government is using the Freedom of Information Act to withhold information.
That's right. If people have been reading the Tyee and looking at the newspapers recently, you'll see that the government agencies are using the Freedom of Information Act inappropriately in many regards. And I've had personal experience with BC Hydro using the Freedom of Information Act, and I'm really cheesed off about it. This information that I'm trying to obtain pertains to failed hydro equipment that is resulting in fires at homes. I have fire reports with the person's name, address, date of the fire, and the cause of the fire being failed or malfunctioning electrical distribution equipment. And the only electrical distribution equipment on a person's home is the smart meter. And I have had to write, because the fire commissioner doesn't have any of this information, they only get very high-level information, I have to go to BC Hydro and say, give me information about this failed equipment. I want to know what equipment failed, why it failed, how it failed. And BC Hydro is saying they can't give it to me because under the Freedom of Information Act, it would violate a third party's privacy. And they are doing this consistently. No matter what I ask for these days, they are using the Freedom of Information Act. And I believe it's in order to refuse to provide information that will prove to us that fires have occurred and have damaged homes, threatened lives.
Have they ever identified who this third party is that they're trying to protect?
No, and when I say who's the third party, is it Hydro? Is it Itron? Is it Corex? Who is it? They don't respond. They're not telling me anything. I'm giving them all of the personal information that's needed to identify the incident. And I make it very clear in my request that I am not asking for any personal information. I know where the fire occurred. I don't care about the victim. I know who the victim is. I don't want to know any more information about that. I am specifically asking for information about the electrical distribution equipment that caused the fire. And the electrical distribution equipment, as we know, is the smart meter, and that belongs to BC Hydro. It doesn't belong to the homeowner. So the only possible third party is Hydro itself, and they won't tell me.
Have you complained to anybody in government or to the Ombudsman about this?
I've put in several official complaints to the Privacy Commissioner, stating that the BC Hydro is misusing the Freedom of Information Act. And she has assured me that this will be looked into. She has forwarded my complaint to BC Hydro and told me that it is in her pile. She has apparently a lot of complaints and not enough staff to address them all at once. So whenever she can get to it, I'll get to it. I mean, I have an earlier complaint in because I've asked BC Hydro if they've used any of our money to pay for insurance claims or for any claims that have been made against Hydro for home, if they've been sued, if there's anything pertaining to fire claims for which they've had to use our money. And they got back and gave me a list of close to 300 claims that they've paid, many of which I know about more. So even though I've got close to 300, there are more that I know about that are not on this list, but they refuse to answer whether they have paid any insurance claims or if they have been sued by an insurance company. And we have a right to know. This is our money. I've put a complaint about this into the privacy, and they used Freedom of Information, Section 22. So I've put this forward to the Privacy Commissioner, and I've also submitted it to the Ombudsperson. This is our money. Oh, I'm sorry, not the Ombudsperson, the Auditor General. This is our money, and the Auditor General is responsible for looking to make sure that our money is being used wisely and responsibly. And if Hydro is using our money to pay for claims that are, caused by, as a result of these smart meters, poor installations and smart meter fires, we have a right to know this. And I know what's happening. Many people, I've had several people tell me that they can't talk to me about their fires because their insurance company has told them that they're negotiating or they're suing BC Hydro. So I know it's happening, but BC Hydro denies it, and the government denies that any of these things have ever happened.
Sharon, you have concerns about the lithium-ion batteries that are in smart meters. Apparently, if they're in the sunshine for too long, they can explode.
Yes, this is there. As I've mentioned before in some of our other discussions, Jim, these meters are fire hazards. Electrical engineers have looked at them and have identified several design features. One of them is that they're made of plastic, combustible plastic. Another one is that they have lithium batteries inside. Now, I had thought mistakenly that they were lithium-ion batteries, which are bad, which will overheat and burn. But recently, I was told that they are lithium metal batteries, which are even worse. Lithium-ion batteries apparently will heat and explode. Lithium metal batteries are much more sensitive to both heat and to water. And as we all know, water has been leaking into these batteries, or into these meters. There was a fire up in Vernon in a restaurant where there was a fire as a result of water leaking into a meter. Also, water and moisture gets into the meter because of condensation. If you go out and look at an analog or any meter, where the heat exchanges goes back and forth, there will be condensation in it. And if this condensation gets moisture onto this lithium battery, it can explode. And there's a combustible smart meter on your house, and that's going to either cause an immediate fire, or it's going to heat up and melt your meter, and it will cause a gradual fire. But these things explode. The meters themselves can also exacerbate a fire. There was a fire, if you remember, in Langford last August, and it was on Czech News. And at the time, the fireman said when he got to the house, the fire department's a block away from the house. When they got there, the smart meter was on fire. And the final report, the official report that came from the fire commissioner and from the fire inspector said that there was a plant in front of the door that caught fire because of a cigarette, and it went up the side of the house and went through the house and eventually burned the meter. The way they wrote it, the meter was the last thing to burn. Well, that's not what I saw on Czech News. And on Czech News, there was nothing by the front door. But even if this bizarre story were true, if there were a planter under the smart meter, that fire would cause that lithium battery to explode, and the fire would be much more rapid and would go on the wires on the home. Many of the fires that the fire departments are seeing, and if you read the reports, if you read the news articles, many times the firemen will say, this fire spread so quickly, we didn't have a fighting chance. It went on the home wiring, it went up the side of the house so quickly, we couldn't save the home. You have to wonder how many times that fire was either caused or worsened by the existence of this lithium battery. These batteries aren't allowed to be put on airliners anymore. They will not ship lithium batteries because they're so dangerous. And we've got them on our home.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop BC Smart Meters. In BC, a smart meter costs $555. Is that a reasonable cost for that piece of machinery?
No. In British Columbia, we are paying more by 2 and 3 times than people in other parts of North America. I have been keeping track of all the costs. Now, I'm doing it on the very same basis. The meter and all the supporting equipment is costing us $1 billion for 1.8 million smart meters being installed. Just a simple division, that's $555 per meter. I've used the same methodology across North America. Some of them are like $150, some are $200. Nowhere is it as much as in British Columbia. Neither are our legacy fees. anywhere near any other place. We are also paying 5, 6, 7, 10 times more than what other places are charging for people to be able to keep their old meters.
Wow. So is there anything the average person can do about this?
Right now, no, our hands are tied, except join our class action lawsuit. We are fighting this. We are fighting it on the basis that our charter rights are being infringed upon. We are fighting it on the basis that we are being charged fees that are basically extortion. The government has written into law the Clean Energy Act, saying that everybody, every house, must have one of these things if they want to have electricity. Electricity is an essential service, and we have a right to determine if we have something dangerous on our home. Under our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it says we have the right to say that the government cannot put something that we consider dangerous on our homes. And I think everyone, especially those with smart meters, should be joining with us. They have a fire hazard on their home that has not been certified safe by any independent agency. Hydro is being allowed to break laws, and no one is holding them accountable. There are all of the authorities, all of the agencies that are in place to protect us. The BC Utilities Commission and the BC Safety Authority are not being allowed to do their jobs. BC Hydro is removing meters from fires so that they cannot be studied and investigated to see if they are the cause of the fire. They are not having these meters be certified safe by an electrical engineer here in British Columbia, as required by law. Neither has Fortis. These meters have not been certified safe by any independent electrical engineer. And unless they are, we've got a fire hazard, a potential fire hazard on our home. These smart meters are being put into a base that was certified by CSA to be safe, but in conjunction with an analog meter. Nobody has certified them to be safe, to have something else, something that the base was not designed to hold these things. And I believe we have a right to say, I'm not going to have one of these things on my home until you give me documentation, until you give me proof that these things have been certified to be safe, and nothing like this exists. It hasn't been done.
One of the arguments the government uses in favor of smart meters is that it will help improve energy efficiency for the province. Do smart meters actually help improve energy efficiency?
They haven't anyplace else. I don't see why we would believe they will here. The Auditor General of Ontario did a major study, and it came out just a few months ago, and her conclusion was similar to Bill McGuinty's, who was Premier a few years ago, who said that it was the worst decision of his political life. The Auditor General concluded that it was a waste of money. They don't do anything that they say that they're supposed to do. And experts like Timothy Schleckel, and I have a report of his available on our website, as well as I have a recent discussion with him that someone in the States had with Professor Schleckel, Dr. Schleckel, in which he says that the smart meters as designed today and the smart grid as designed today cannot do most of the things that we're being told they can do. They cannot identify outages more efficiently than a phone call can. They cannot save any energy. They won't save any energy. They haven't anywhere. It's up to the individuals to save energy. What we need to do is to continue what we've been doing. And we're doing that. We're using better light bulbs. We are using better appliances. We are shutting off things that we don't need to use. The fact of the matter is, Jim, less electricity is being used now than it was 10 years ago. And Hydro's scrambling because they make money off selling electricity. And they want to sell this electricity to the states. And Timothy Schleckel and many other experts have been saying that as our electricity usage is reducing, not thank you to smart meters, but thank you to conservation efforts that individuals are making, the hydro companies are going broke. The rates are going to be going higher for people because many people are going off the grid. Many people are going to be using solar energy or wind energy as it becomes cheaper and cheaper. And hydro companies like BC Hydro and Fortis are going to be stuck with these huge investments like the smart grid and see if it's allowed to go forward. And how are they going to pay for it? They're going to be increasing rates more and more and more to those who are still using their power. Look at our power is going up 28% over what it was last year. Over the next 4 years, we're going to be seeing an increase in the 6% range, just as we did April 1st of this year, just as we did April 1st of last year. And this is to pay for some of the bad decisions that have already been made. This will continue. We will not see any reduction in costs or utilization, thank you to the smart meters.
And of course, as the costs go up, people will find new and better ways to save money by using less and less electricity.
And it's a vicious circle. And as the smart meters are in, we all know that computerized things cost more because they're going to be replaced. These smart meters they were amortized in Hydro's business case the last 20 years. No one believes that these will last 20 years. They'll be lucky if they last 5 to 7 years. They will need to be replaced. There will need to be upgrades to software. The U.S. is going to be requiring greater and greater cybersecurity. They will have to be replaced because their life expectancy is so much shorter, and probably at one point in time we will be paying for 2 or 3 smart meters at the same time. This is a bottomless pit, and the only green that's going to be realized is the money that's going into the corporations' pockets. This is fabulous for the corporations because, they'll be replacing and upgrading and reinstalling new meters all the time. There will not be an end to it. And the analogs that we had cost $49 and lasted 40 or 50 years and were safe. They did an excellent job. They did everything that a smart meter can do, except not need a meter reader. And if that was the major justification, because they wanted to get rid of these meter readers that were good jobs, they're members who were going out and helping people. They were identifying problems in the neighborhood as they went through it. If they wanted to get rid of the meter reader, let us call our readings in. Let us send in an email with a picture of our meter. There are so many other ways that could have saved a heck of a lot of money and not have cost us and risked people's lives and damaged property and irradiated us. There's so many problems with these meters that could have been avoided.
Sharon, if somebody wanted to learn more about smart meters and why you oppose them, is there a website they can go to?
There are a couple of them. The Coalition's website is www.stopsmartmetersbc.com, and the website that has a lot of our legal information as well as health information is www.citizensforsafetechnology.org.
Sharon, thank you very much for chatting with us.
Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it very much.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. You've been listening to The Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Check out our popular YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be sent to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on The Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.